Have you ever walked into a room where the air feels thick with power, like one wrong move could shatter everything? That's the world Clara Vance built, a world of glass towers and iron rules, where she reigns as the billionaire CEO of Vance Global Holdings. Picture this: a sleek boardroom on the 50th floor of their headquarters in downtown New York, sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows, casting sharp shadows on the polished mahogany table. It's lunchtime, but not the casual kind with sandwiches and small talk. This is a high-stakes investor lunch, the kind where deals worth hundreds of millions hang in the balance. And Clara is at the head of it all, her beige suit tailored to perfection, not a thread out of place. Clara Vance didn't get to the top by being nice. She started from nothing, a kid from a small town who clawed her way up through late nights and tough choices. Now, at 52, she's ruthless, obsessed with perfection. Mistakes? She doesn't tolerate them, not in her empire, not in anyone around her. As she stands at the front of the room, her voice cuts through the low hum of conversation like a knife. Gentlemen, ladies, let's get to the point. This merger with Apex Industries isn't just a deal, it's the future. $600 million on the line, and Vance Global will lead the charge in global logistics. The investors nod, a mix of suits from Wall Street banks and tech funds, their eyes fixed on her. She's got that presence, the kind that makes you sit up straighter. The CFO, a balding man in his 40s, slides her a folder with the latest projections, and she flips through it without missing a beat. Her manicured nails tapping the paper. Around the table, executives from her team chime in, backing her up with stats and charts projected on the wall. The clink of coffee cups and the soft rustle of papers fill the gaps in talk. Waitstaff move quietly in the background, refilling glasses and clearing plates. It's all seamless, just how Clara likes it. She built this company from a startup in her garage to a powerhouse, firing anyone who slipped up along the way. Her intolerance for errors is legendary. Stories circulate in the halls about the time she dismissed a whole department over a single miscalculation. But today, she's in her element, charming the investors with that calculated smile, promising returns that make their eyes light up. Among the waitstaff is Maya Ellis, a woman in her late 30s moving with quiet efficiency. She's in the standard uniform, black skirt, white blouse, hair tied back in a neat ponytail. Nothing flashy, just functional. Maya pours water for one of the investors, her hands steady, but inside, her mind races. This isn't just any job for her. Vance Global Holdings? It's the same company that chewed her up and spit her out years ago. Back then, she was a brilliant financial analyst, fresh out of college with a knack for spotting patterns in numbers that others missed. She exposed some shady accounting in a big project, thinking it was the right thing to do. But instead of thanks, she got silenced, blacklisted, her career derailed. Now, here she is, serving lunch to the very people who ruined her life, scraping by on tips while hiding her past. Maya keeps her head down as she circles the table, offering fresh rolls to the executives. The smell of roasted chicken and herbs wafts from the serving trays, but she barely notices. Her eyes flick to Clara now and then, that familiar knot in her stomach tightening. Clara doesn't even glance her way. Why would she? To the CEO, the waitstaff are invisible, part of the machinery that keeps her perfect world running. But Maya remembers every detail. The day she was called into the office, the cold dismissal, the way her reports were buried. She was good, damn good, but speaking truth to power cost her everything. Now she lives quietly, renting a small apartment uptown, taking whatever shifts she can get. Waitressing pays the bills, but it's a far cry from crunching numbers on multi-million-dollar deals. As the lunch progresses, Clara dives deeper into the pitch. "Look at these figures," she says, pointing to the projector screen where graphs climb steadily upward. "Our projections show a 25% growth in the first quarter post-merger. Apex brings the tech, we bring the infrastructure. It's unbreakable." The investors lean in, murmuring approvals. One of them, a sharp-eyed woman from a venture firm, asks about risks, and Clara waves it off with a confident laugh. "Risks, we've mitigated them all. My team doesn't miss a beat." The CFO nods vigorously, backing her up, though Maya, as she clears a plate nearby, catches a subtle hesitation in his voice. She's close enough to overhear the details, and something nags at her. The numbers don't quite add up in her head. Maya sets down a fresh pitcher of iced tea, her movements precise. She's always been like that, detail-oriented even now. Back in her analyst days, she'd pore over spreadsheets until dawn, uncovering discrepancies that saved the company millions. But that was before. Now she bites her tongue, focusing on the task at hand. An executive thanks her quietly as she refills his coffee, and she offers a small smile, nothing more. Inside, though, the memories flood back. The excitement of her first big presentation, the betrayal when her whistleblowing led to her firing. Vance Global blacklisted her across the industry, whispers of troublemaker following her everywhere. She tried other jobs, but doors slammed shut. Waitressing was her fallback, a way to disappear. Clara paces a bit as she speaks, her heels clicking sharply on the marble floor. This isn't just about money, it's about dominance. Vance Global will own the market. The investors eat it up, forks clinking against plates as they dig into their salads. The room buzzes with energy, deals being mentally sealed. Maya weaves through, collecting empty glasses, her uniform brushing against chairs. She pauses near the CFO, who's sweating a little under his collar, flipping through his notes. She overhears him muttering to an assistant about a last-minute adjustment in the financials. It's subtle, but to Maya, it's like a red flag waving. Her old instincts kick in. She knows finance like the back of her hand, better than most in this room, but she pushes it down. No point in stirring trouble. She's here to serve, not to save the day. Clara wraps up her segment, turning to the group with that winning smile. Questions? Let's hear them. Hands go up and the discussion heats up. Maya steps back to the side table, restocking napkins, her mind wandering to how different her life could have been. If only she hadn't spoken up back then. If only Clara's empire allowed for truth over perfection. The lunch drags on, plates being cleared, desserts brought out, fresh fruit tarts and coffee. Clara dominates, her voice steady, unflinching. As Maya serves a slice of tart to one of the investors, she catches a snippet of conversation about the merger's valuation. The numbers they're throwing around. Something's off. A decimal point misplaced, perhaps, or an overlooked variable in the projections. Her analyst brain calculates quickly, and she realizes it could unravel the whole deal. But what can she do? She's just the waitress. Clara glances her way for a split second, dismissing her presence entirely. Maya feels that old fire flicker, the one that got her in trouble before. Resilience. That's what kept her going these years. Bouncing back, even if it meant starting over. The meeting shifts as Clara calls for a break, people stretching and chatting in small groups. Maya busies herself with cleanup, stacking plates quietly. An investor compliments the food and she nods thanks. But her eyes keep drifting to the projector, where the charts still glow. If only they knew. Clara mingles, shaking hands, her beige suit impeccable. She's the picture of control, but Maya senses the cracks. Every empire has them. Time ticks on, the lunch winding toward its climax. Clara reconvenes the group, diving into the nitty-gritty of the financials. Our balance sheet is rock solid, she declares, gesturing to the screen. The CFO presents next, his voice a bit shaky as he outlines the details. Maya, pouring coffee nearby, listens intently. There it is, the discrepancy. A miscalculation in the revenue forecast, inflated by a faulty assumption. It could cost them big if not caught. Her heart pounds. Should she say something? No, that's crazy. She's invisible here, but as the CFO stumbles over a question from an investor, Clara's eyes narrow. Perfection is slipping, and she hates that. Maya whispers to herself, barely audible, running the numbers again in her head. She's right, she knows it. The room feels smaller, tension building like a storm about to break. Clara presses on, rallying the group. Trust me, this is flawless. But Maya, setting down a cup, can't shake it. Her past haunts her, the blacklist, the lost dreams. Serving here in the heart of it all feels like fate mocking her. Yet there's a spark of redemption lurking if she dares. The investors probe deeper, one asking about contingency plans. Clara answers smoothly, but the CFO hesitates again. Maya moves closer, her tray balanced, ears tuned in. This is her old world, the one she was cast out from. Clara's empire, built on grit, but blind to its flaws. As the discussion intensifies, Maya realizes she's not just serving lunch. She's witnessing the potential downfall of the deal. Her quiet demeanor hides a storm, her tied-back hair and simple uniform a disguise for the brilliant mind beneath. Clara wraps up, confident as ever. Let's seal this. Applause ripples through the room. Maya clears the last plates, her mind racing. The high-stakes lunch is peaking, and little does anyone know, the quiet waitress holds the key to it all. Clara's wrapping up, her voice sharp and commanding. Let's move to the final review of the terms. She gestures to the projector screen, where the financials glow in crisp black and white. The CFO steps forward, adjusting his glasses, and starts walking through the numbers again. As you can see, our projected revenue post-merger hits $800 million by Q3 next year, driven by Apex's tech integration. He points to a chart. His voice steadier now, but Maya, standing near the side table, feels that knot in her stomach tighten. She knows that number is inflated, way inflated. It's a compounding error, starting with an overly optimistic assumption about Apex's supply chain efficiency. She ran the math in her head while pouring coffee earlier. If it's not corrected, the deal could collapse under scrutiny. Maybe not today, but soon. Maya sets down her tray, her hands trembling slightly. She's close enough to the CFO to see the beads of sweat on his forehead as an investor. The sharp-eyed woman from the venture firm leans forward. Can you clarify the supply chain projections? They seem aggressive. The CFO hesitates just a fraction of a second, but it's enough for Clara to notice. Her smile tightens, her eyes narrowing at him. Perfection is her currency, and she senses a crack. It's solid, the CFO says, flipping to another slide. We've cross-checked everything. But Maya knows he's wrong. She can't help it, she whispers under her breath, barely audible. That's not right. The supply chain data's off by 12%. The executive sitting nearest to her, a gray-haired man in a pinstripe suit, overhears and glances up, surprised. What was that? He asks, his voice low but curious. Maya freezes, her heart pounding. She didn't mean to say it out loud. The room's still buzzing, Clara's voice dominating so no one else notices. But the executive keeps looking at her, waiting. Maya forces a small smile, shaking her head as if it was nothing, and busies herself with refilling a water pitcher. Inside, she's cursing herself. Stay invisible, she thinks. Don't do this again. But the moment doesn't pass. The executive leans toward the CFO, interrupting his spiel. Hold on, I heard something about the supply chain numbers being off. Can we double-check that? The room quiets slightly, heads turning. Clara's gaze snaps to the executive, then to the CFO, who looks like he's been caught stealing. What's this about? Clara asks, her voice like ice. The executive points toward Maya, casually, not realizing the weight of it. The waitress said something about a 12% error. Every eye in the room turns to Maya. She feels the air leave her lungs, the weight of a dozen stares pinning her in place. Clara's expression shifts from confusion to something sharper, almost predatory. The waitress? She says, her tone dripping with disbelief. She steps closer, her heels clicking on the marble floor. You have something to say about my company's financials? The room is dead silent now, the investors exchanging glances, the CFO frozen mid-slide. Maya's throat tightens, but she meets Clara's gaze, her years of silence and struggle boiling up inside her. I just noticed the supply chain projection might be off, Maya says, her voice quiet but steady. The numbers assume a 15% efficiency gain, but Apex's data only supports 3%. It throws off the revenue forecast. She regrets it the moment the words leave her mouth. The room erupts in murmurs, some investors pulling out their phones to check notes, others looking at Clara for her reaction. The CFO sputters, Well, we vetted all the data. But he's floundering, and everyone can see it. Clara's laugh cuts through the noise, sharp and cold. You know finance? A waitress? She turns to the room, playing to her audience, her smile mocking. Maybe we should let her run the merger. Laughter ripples through the executives, though the investors look less amused, more curious. Maya's face burns, the humiliation hitting like a punch. She remembers this feeling, being dismissed, laughed out of the room. Back then, she exposed corruption in Vance Global's books, and they buried her for it. Now here she is, in the same company, under Clara's scorn again. Then leave now. Clara snaps, pointing toward the door. If you're such an expert, go run your own company. The words sting, meant to cut deep, and they do. Maya's hands clench at her sides, her tray forgotten on the table. The investors shift uncomfortably, sensing the tension. The sharp-eyed woman speaks up. Maybe we should hear her out. If there's an error, we need to know. Clara's smile falters, just for a second, but she recovers quickly. Fine, she says, her voice tight. Let's entertain this. Show us, waitress. Maya hesitates, her pulse racing. This is her chance, but it's also a trap. If she's wrong, she's out the door, humiliated again. If she's right, she's challenging the most powerful woman in the room. Either way, there's no going back. She steps forward, toward the projector, her uniform feeling like a costume now. The CFO hands her the clicker, his face pale. Maya takes a deep breath, her old analyst self waking up. She clicks to the supply chain slide, her mind sharp despite the years away from the game. Here, she says, pointing to a line in the data. The efficiency gain is overstated. Apex's latest report shows a bottleneck in their distribution hubs, 3% max improvement, not 15%. That cuts the revenue projection by at least $70 million. The room is silent, all eyes on the screen. She walks them through it, step by step, her voice growing steadier. The numbers click into place like they always did for her. The investors lean forward, some nodding, others scribbling furiously. The CFO looks like he wants to disappear. Clara's face is unreadable, her arms crossed. "And you figured this out while pouring coffee?" She asks, her tone laced with sarcasm, but a flicker of something else. Curiosity, maybe. Maya doesn't back down. "I used to do this for a living," she says simply, not mentioning Vance Global or her blacklist. "Not yet." The sharp-eyed investor speaks up again. "She's right. I saw the same report. How did your team miss this?" The question hangs in the air, a direct hit to Clara's perfect world. The CFO stammers, but Clara cuts him off with a raised hand. She's staring at Maya now, really seeing her for the first time. The tension is electric, the room waiting for her next move. Maya stands by the projector, her heart pounding, knowing she's just lit a match in the middle of Clara's empire. The boardroom is a pressure cooker. Every eye on Maya Ellis as she stands by the projector, her waitress uniform stark against the glowing financials. Clara Vance's mocking words, "You know finance." "Then leave now!" Still echo, but Maya's not backing down. Her heart pounds, years of silence and shame fueling her. She clicks to another slide, her voice steady despite the stakes. "If I'm wrong, your deal is safe," she says, meeting Clara's icy stare. "But if I'm right, your 600 million collapses tomorrow." The room gasps, the investors leaning forward, the CFO sinking into his chair. Clara's face tightens, but she nods, a silent dare. Maya points to the screen, her old analyst skills razor sharp. "The supply chain error compounds here," she says, highlighting a row of figures. "Apex's distribution hubs can't scale that fast. The 15% efficiency gain is a fantasy, 3% is the reality. That slashes your revenue forecast by $70 million minimum." She clicks again, pulling up Apex's latest report, publicly available but buried in fine print. The numbers align with her math, undeniable. The sharp-eyed investor nods, scribbling notes. "She's right," the woman says, her voice cutting through the tension. "I saw that report. This is a deal-breaker," the executives murmur, some laughing nervously, others stunned. Clara's empire, built on perfection, is cracking. The CFO stammers, We can adjust, but it's too late." The investors are restless, one demanding, "How did your team miss this?" Clara's smile is gone, her arms still crossed, but her eyes lock on Maya. Not with scorn now, but something closer to calculation. Maya feels the weight of the moment, her past as a blacklisted analyst rushing back. She was fired for exposing corruption at Vance Global, silenced for truth. Now here she is, dismantling their narrative again. The sharp-eyed investor speaks up. She stays. "We need someone who catches this kind of thing." Others nod, their confidence in Clara shaken. Clara's jaw tightens, but she's not one to lose control. She steps closer to Maya, her heels clicking sharply. "You used to do this for a living," she says, repeating Maya's earlier words, her tone probing. Maya hesitates, then decides it's time. "I was an analyst here," she says, her voice clear. "Until I was fired for pointing out errors like this." The room goes silent, the revelation landing like a grenade. The investors exchange looks. The executives shift uncomfortably. Clara's eyes narrow, but she doesn't interrupt. Maya keeps going, her voice steady but raw. "I exposed a cover-up in your books 5 years ago. It cost me my career." The truth hangs heavy, the boardroom frozen. Clara's face betrays a flicker of recognition, but she masks it quickly. The investors don't care about the past, they want solutions. "Can you fix this?" one asks Maya directly. She nods, clicking through revised projections on the projector. "Adjust the efficiency to 3%. And the deal's still viable, but at $530 million. Not $600. The numbers hold up." And the investors murmur approval. Clara's silence is deafening, but she's no fool. She sees the room shifting, her control slipping. "Fine," she says, her voice low but firm. "You've made your point. Fix the numbers and you're on the team." The offer is a shock even to Maya. The investors clap, some standing, one calling out, "Get her a chair!" Maya's knees feel weak, but she stands tall, her uniform suddenly feeling like armor. She nods, accepting, her mind racing. Senior financial advisor, a title she never thought she'd hold again, least of all here. The meeting wraps, the deal salvaged, but reshaped. Clara stays quiet, her pride bruised but her pragmatism winning out. As the investors leave, some shake Maya's hand, one whispering, "You're a game changer." The story spreads fast. By evening, whispers of the waitress who outsmarted Wall Street hit the financial blogs. Maya's first day as senior financial advisor is a whirlwind. A new office, a laptop, a team looking to her for guidance. She trades her waitress uniform for a blazer, her tied-back hair now loose, her confidence growing. Clara, meanwhile, shifts subtly. She's still ruthless, but Maya's boldness forces a reckoning. At a follow-up meeting, Clara acknowledges the error publicly, a rare move. "We missed something." "She didn't," she says, nodding to Maya. "It's not an apology, but it's close." The company's culture starts to change. Less fear, more openness. Maya's story becomes a beacon, inspiring others to speak up. She catches whispers in the halls. If the waitress could do it, so can we. Maya reflects on her journey, standing by her office window, the city sprawling below. Redemption wasn't just getting her job back, it was proving her worth, forcing truth into a world obsessed with perfection. She's no longer invisible, her impact rippling beyond the boardroom. Clara Vance's empire hasn't crumbled, but it's different now. The boardroom, once a shrine to perfection, hums with new voices. People inspired by Maya, unafraid to challenge, to question. Clara herself has softened just enough, her beige suit still impeccable but her demeanor less rigid. She passes Maya in the hall sometimes, a nod replacing her old scorn, a silent acknowledgement of the waitress who cracked her perfect world open. Maya's story spreads beyond the company, a tale of resilience that hits blogs, then news outlets, then social media. The waitress who outsmarted Wall Street becomes a rallying cry for underdogs everywhere. She gets emails from strangers, people who've been silenced, overlooked, telling her she's given them courage. At her desk, she keeps a small photo of herself from her waitressing days. A reminder of where she came from, what she overcame. If this story moved you, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And let us know in the comments, what's your moment of standing up to power?